Have you ever abandoned a website or a web app because it's taken too long to load? You've just got frustrated and you've given up and gone to the competition instead. If you have, you are not alone. This is a really common problem and it has a profound impact on your website's success. Performance is one of the biggest influences over how long someone will engage with your website and how likely they are to act, let alone whether they even get to see your content at all because they've just given up and abandoned. So in this CXL feed, we discuss how to encourage users to wait by improving their perception of performance. There's been so much research done into this area that it really is a known entity at this point. For example, research carried out by Microsoft shows that for a 1-second delay in load time, you will see a 7% drop in your conversion rate and 11% fewer page views. So it really does have a profound impact on your conversion rate and on your engagement if your performance starts to suffer. Also, 1 in 4 people will just abandon a page that takes longer than about 4 seconds to load. And that is even worse on mobile, where something like 74% of mobile users will give up on a page that takes 5 or so seconds to load. But the trouble is, there's only so much your developers can do for you with this. Sometimes it's just complicated. Sometimes there is a lot of processing that needs to be done. Sometimes there are big files that have to be downloaded and there is nothing you can do. However, there is an opportunity here. We can take that challenge of people's frustration about load time and turn it into a positive if we approach it in the right way. You see, we might not be able to change the reality of how long it takes something to download or to process, but we can change how people perceive that time. And we can go even further, actually. You see, there's something called the labor illusion, which is a psychological principle that states that users will perceive a product or service as more valuable if they believe more effort or time has been invested into the delivery. So, as a result, if we present those delays as actually more effort, then people are going to see it positively. So, how do we do this? How do we change people's perception of performance, of load time? Well, one thing you could do out the gate is delay loading some elements. This is called lazy loading, and it basically means the whole page will render, but missing maybe some key aspects of it initially until those load in later. And so this gives a sense of progression. They're not just staring at a blank screen, they're staring at a website that is building up in front of them. So for example, if you go to my own website at boagworld.com, to begin with, the background image won't display. That person on the right-hand side won't immediately display, but then that will load in a fraction of a second later, and that gives you a sense that things are progressing. Of course, if you can track your progress, if you know exactly how long something's going to take, or how far through the process you are, then you can show a progress bar. Now, progress bars are really great for changing people's perceptions. If they can see how long something is taking, then that time seems to go quicker for them. And this has been well known for back in as far as the 80s, people realised this in the early days of human-computer interaction. Of course, the problem is we don't always know how long something's going to take, and nothing is more annoying than those fake progress bars that say you're so far through the process, but then get stuck at 99% because they didn't really know at all. So what can you do if you can't use a progress bar? Well, one alternative is to visualize the process happening. So for example, if you've ever used generative AI in order to create imagery for you, you'll know how the image appears over time and it gets more and more resolution as it goes through the process of processing it. And so there are times when we can visualize the effort going on to give the user a sense of what is happening. Another classic example from generative AI is how some models will, show sentences one at a time as almost like someone's typing it out, while other models will show you a blank screen and then show everything at once. The models that show the typing process actually feel much faster to use than those that wait until everything's in place. The other thing you can do is show a skeleton of the page. If you've got a rough idea of what elements are going to appear and where they're going to appear and how big they are, then you can show a kind of skeleton frame structure like the one you're seeing at the moment to give an indication that something is happening. You're kind of loading the page low resolution, and then you fill in the information further. And that can give a sense that things are progressing and moving forward. But by far my favorite approach, and the one that I like to combine with all of these others, is to create a narrative, to feed back to the user what is going on, why things are taking time, and to break down the process that's happening. And that's because this very much plays into that illusion that things will be better if effort is going in. If you create a narrative around the effort that's being put in, then users are going to be much more open to waiting and will appreciate the final product a lot more. So for example, let's say you're uploading a video that needs to be processed. Instead of just having a progress bar, add to that things like, well, we're currently analyzing the video, and now we're enhancing the audio, and now we're optimizing the lighting, and so on and so on and so on, to give a sense of progression, but also a sense of effort. So how do you go away and act on all of this? Well, I would encourage you to go away and look at your apps or your websites and look for screens or pages that are taking more than about 3 seconds to load. Anything beyond that, then you probably will have a performance problem in terms of its impact on engagement and conversion. And so you need to be looking for ways in those instances of changing people's perception about performance if you can't actually fix the underlying problem. Hopefully that helps, and best of luck.